my promise for this year is I would definitely want to be much less sarcastic and much more American. And it doesn't matter how crazy the proposition for the company is. If there's 5 people launching a FIFA game, I will say, that could work. That sounds amazing.
I'll be there for the next sentence saying this is the biggest bullshit I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Right? So don't worry about it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Games 364. We're calling this the year-end or the year-beginning episode since we are now recording it on January 2nd. I'm Jen Donahoe. I fill the marketing and publishing role on the podcast. Today we have...
Eric Kress, strategy and investing.
Phil Black, monetizations are.
Ishkatkov, friend of the founders.
All right, so here's what we're doing on today's very special episode. We're going to answer a bunch of questions that we often get from listeners when we go to different shows, like how does this get made? There's a lot of questions that we get, so we're going to go through some of those. And then it's the episode that absolutely has horrified Mr. Data Phil. We're going to get all mushy and vulnerable. It's going to be Brene Brown like on display here, and everyone's going to do some touchy-feely answers to some emotional questions. And then remember back when EA said, can a computer make you cry? Well, today it's going to be, can a podcast make you cry? Actually, apparently I made someone cry when I talked about some of my medical stuff a couple months ago. So I guess the answer is yes. When I told the story about how Stan's daughter gave me the card with, you're going to do really good in surgery. Oh my God. A friend of mine was like, I was in a cab and I was listening and I was bawling. and it was a guy too. Anyway, so here's a quick shill. I wanted to promote, Chris and I did a TWIG Junior episode with our on-the-ground reporters, Rocky, who's 12, and Mickey, who's 10. There's a lots to share from the episode. Go give it a listen. It's really fascinating. It's like a peek into the minds of Gen Alpha. But 2 key things I wanted to point out from that episode. Number 1 is Supercell has figured out how to make games that last forever for 10 to 12-year-olds. So last year, it was Brawl Stars. And all of that resurgence, a lot of it came from 12-year-olds. This year, they've done the same thing with Clash Royale. So this is not, focus group of a few 12-year-olds. But every time I talk to a 12-year-old, they are playing Clash Royale, and they say that their entire school is playing it. So really interesting note there. Mishka, if you haven't pissed off Supercell so much, I would try to get them on the phone and ask them about this. Maybe they'll still take my call.
They're probably spending UA dollars directly against this audience, right? Aren't they just targeting this audience?
I'm the one pissing off Supercell. I think Phil Black I've been just getting splash damage.
What?
By the way, since this is a deload episode and we're essentially talking about everything else except the news because there was no news, I've actually reached out to Supercell's PR. I think I reached out to them during my visit in Finland during Slush. No reply. And I was kind of surprised because every single company that we talked to gets back to us, like Timmy, Scopely, Riot, Roblox, you name it. We're on like a first name basis with PR teams, but Supercell's PR lady has not replied. So I don't know, lady, if we offended you, that was not the goal. It was a very nice email.
Did.
We'd like to. We did?
You specifically shit on Supercell PR.
Okay, I apologize.
You really do.
This isn't. I apologize, lady. I apologize, and we would like to correct anything we've done wrong by having you on the podcast.
I would like to be the official Deconstructor of Fun spokesperson. Please call me instead of Mishka, and I'll try to smooth it over. All right. So the other thing that we talked about was that Fortnite is really getting squeezed by Roblox. And GTA 6 is likely going to squeeze it from the top end. So Fortnite's going to continue to make all the inroads that it can to compete with Roblox. The kids seem to be really preferring what Roblox is offering, even for the boy standpoint. I know we had often talked about it aging out, but it seems like they're able to keep them with Grow a Garden and Steal a Brain Rot kind of game. Although the kids seem to be over that one.
There is a third takeaway. The third takeaway is that Prize Picks is marketing to children and corrupting the future generations of children with gambling.
That is correct.
We actually 100% cleared this up and confirmed it with these 2 12 and 10-year-olds. So
they did say they saw it more in like legacy, like watching sports, than they did see it in UA on a phone.
And YouTube videos.
That
they're watching.
Yeah.
Which, again.
Got it. Yeah. That was our bonus add-on question that we put in there. You're right. Mishka, what do you have?
Predictions, those are out. So 12 predictions for the next 12 months. Check it out on Deconstructor of Fun newsletter, podcast, and of course, the upcoming events during PGC London. I was just looking at the Game Executive Supper Club, which is the Sunday roast edition. It's looking pretty full. We haven't approved about 100 people who are still in line, and we got about 20 places to go. So I need to get on that. But please, if you haven't applied, do it now because we're sending approvals at this moment.
So what's your count on your predictions? You have some numbers here. I want you to...
Oh, yeah. So as always, when we talk about predictions, I always go a year back and then see the predictions, how correct they were. So last year, I did 6 predictions. 4 of them were quite correct. One was clearly incorrect. The one incorrect was I thought that the Western companies would be distancing themselves from China due to all the geopolitical shuffle, but apparently only the Chinese companies distanced themselves from the US. So the other way around, and probably no political agenda. They were just like, this is too expensive and slow. And one was unverified. So I would say 75% correct, which is a good number. If you're doing like close to 100, that means you're making safe bets. And again, with the next 12, there's a lot of crazy predictions, but you got to swing for the fences.
All right.
No, no, we can't let this get away. They're under scoped. Like I need to see bolder bets. Like if you look at the odds on these, it's like GTA will be the biggest game. AI will matter. Like let's ramp up the risk profile here.
I'm predicting like an AI bust. What are you talking about?
There's no bold things happening. It's like really hard to make bold prediction when nothing's really changing all that much.
What are the dark horses? I think that remains an elusive question.
Chinese puzzle games. I'm thinking that's going to be a big one. With a 4x meta.
Unseated.
Maybe.
All right. Well, why don't you write your own blog post, Phil, and let's talk about it next week.
Let's see some audacious predictions from Mr. Philip Black.
Yeah.
I put my bets forward. I got a Nemo on my card. What else we got?
All right. Okay.
All right.
Press, big announcement. We need
I have a quick
roll.
announcement. Yes, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but after almost 2 decades of client work, I am now completely focused on the podcast and independent analysis in 2026, which basically means that you will get a completely unfiltered version of me with 0 conflicts from clients. So buckle up this year. No issues. So quote unquote semi-retired this year. So
I thought we already had unfiltered crest, so it gets worse. I mean, better.
it can get a lot worse. Yeah, no, believe me.
Well, congratulations.
This is either first of the many or the last year. So,
I mean, this is a big milestone. You're in a sense kind of retiring, right? Like, is that the right word, or should we just say?
Yeah, I am semi-retired. Let's say. I mean, this has been a plan for quite a while now. So. And then when my daughter got into school, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but if you guys anybody want to talk about it, I'd be happy to do it. But when my daughter got into school, it just seemed pretty apparent that I didn't really want to work anymore. I just want to do what I want to do, right? And the podcast is kind of one of the best things I do. So I'm going to just focus on that. Maybe post a little bit more like incendiary bullshit on LinkedIn.
Thank God. We need more of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the cesspool that is LinkedIn these days. So I'm going to add to that cesspool. But getting away from client work, that is tough.
Well, congratulations.
Maybe more than one Crest Corner episode a year. Maybe we'll up the number up.
Yeah. Maybe I'll start interviewing people that maybe I'll interview Mr. Lightspeed.
Moritz? Oh,
yeah.
No.
Let's go back there.
No.
Oh, I really want to facilitate that.
I want to see you take on the EA strategy guy from Toronto.
Oh,
I think that could be fun. I think you should do it.
He reached out. I'll actually try it. I'll try it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Because he said he wanted to clarify, and now that he's not at a public traded company, he should be free to fucking talk to me all he wants.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any like restrictions either, or less restrictions, let's say.
Okay. I volunteer to moderate. Those are going to be awesome. All right. So let's get into the first section. These are more kind of like podcast related questions, like behind the scenes. We get this one all the time. How do you make the podcast? How do you make TWIG? And I think Phil's got a pretty good one coming up too, which is, at a high level, I do a little bit more of like the executive producer, cat wrangling is what I call it. But basically, I kind of make sure we have record on certain dates, that the editor knows when we're recording so that he can turn it around. We have this document that we all kind of asynchronously collaborate into. So it kind of works like a well-oiled machine at this point. Sometimes it's just wrangling who's going to be on the podcast and who's not. And can Laura or Adam kind of fill in when Phil or Mishka are out or when I was out for a month. We also do a bunch of side podcasts. Mishka, you're the one, I think when I added up, you do like almost 30 side podcasts, deep dives every half a year. I do maybe, 3 to 5. And so you have that kind of going really well. Phil has Shooter Monthly, which has been awesome. Dude, I love Shooter Monthly. Super fun. So that's a little bit. Why don't you guys go into the rest of it?
I don't know. I just show up, right? And my people do the rest, right? You know, I have all these people. No, I'm just kidding. We all prepare ahead of time, some more than others. And I'm looking at Mishka because Mishka's the worst. Okay, just in general, on average.
Yeah.
But overall, it's a lot smoother these days, it seems, anyway, in terms of getting shit together for it. So there's some days that are bad, but most of the time it's pretty good.
So on the background, we always put in notes. So this podcast is the most edited just because there's many speakers and just because we want to cover as many topics as possible. We do some of the conversations, so what was good, what was not. Phil is usually central at those, whether this sucked or was good. He gives a thumbs up, thumbs down like an emperor after every episode. And my process is really simple. In my head, I always aim at putting my notes by the end of Monday, which gives everybody else some time to check them out. But in reality, I'm like, okay, it's Tuesday already, but I'll do my notes. And then again, more work, more stuff comes in. And fuck, it's Wednesday. So I cram in my notes. Then I get mad message from Jen of like, what is this? Why did it came from? And blah, blah, blah. And then I have to edit. And that's why everybody's pissed because I'm the last. So that's normal. But sometimes I'm correct and do it on the right moment. Like this week, I was, again, putting my notes last minute, adding different questions. And you guys were like, what the fuck is this? We're not doing this.
All of us are in different places around the world. So Cress is in San Francisco. I'm in LA. Phil's in Cyprus. And Mishka is in Athens. So those two have actually moved. But you've stayed pretty much in a time zones away from us, like 9 hours difference from us. Mm-hmm. And so when you get in and you do all your notes, when you think it's like a normal time, we have no time to see what you wrote, to catch up. And then you insert it on top of somebody else's already done work. And that's why I yell at you. But it's all with love, Mishka. No,
yeah. I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right. That's it. I don't even, I'm used to it.
But the one who's actually the best at this is Cress. Cress is always in there on time, if not early, doing, puts his thoughts in. Cress wins at who's the most prepared. And then Phil is the best at bringing in all the game information because he wants to talk all about games. And so you do a great job bringing data. And then I try to just do some stuff. I bring in some stories. I try to do the summaries and the recap of what the news is. So then allows us to then talk about, because sometimes we all dive in without like refreshing the audience on like what the topic was. Cool. All right. Next question is, what are your relationships like off air? So Cress is 100% Cress, but just a little less aggro. Unless you fire him up, which I've seen happen, and then he becomes podcast Cress in front of people. That's pretty funny. So he and I do all kinds of different stuff together, kind of off podcast. And it's a ton of fun, actually. I think we have a little comedy show going off the podcast. Mishka is I call you our visionary. You have a lot of great ideas about like what we're doing, what is deconstructor.
I'm described like a U.S. executive now.
Hype man.
He's the hype man. He gets us the sponsors. He is the best schmoozer. If you've ever seen him at GDC, he is like the belle of the ball. Everyone wants to talk to him. But if you want something done, call me. That's kind of how this works, sadly. We don't get a lot of Adam, but every time we do, it's an absolute pleasure. Like one of the smartest guys ever in gaming, especially from all angles, like product, from even marketing. Like he and I can talk marketing stuff all day long. The best is when he comes in town. He's based in Canada, right? So you get another one who's not here. So when he comes to LA, because he works at Scopely, we'll do dinner a lot of times. And it's like the best girls' dinner of all time. We bring a couple friends and we just gossip. And then Phil, Phil. Besides him shitting on marketing, which I'm going to just explode every time that happens, I actually did a couple projects with Phil and had a lovely, enjoyable time. And I just love that you bring all the data and everything and fill out the rest of the podcast. So anyway, that's mine.
Adam is much more sarcastic in real life than he's on the podcast.
It's
He's
so
somehow
true.
It's like he's the most sarcastic of us, and yet he comes out as this sort of a thoughtful, like very methodical, and then his comments.
He's vicious.
Yeah.
He's vicious.
Those Canadian Wolverine, claws. Something else.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit! Can you say like, wow? If you would have said that on a podcast, like that would have been brutal.
He's funny about it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love working with Adam. Adam is basically a genius, but he's Canadian, right? So that basically trumps the fact that he's a genius, but he works his ass off. I've never seen someone work so diligently on projects. When we were at Warner, he was insane, right? So he's so fucking thorough, but he's still fucking Canadian, right? So like that's it. I mean, I don't know. I can't forgive him for that. Let's see. Jen. I think Jen's kind of like a work wife, right? I have to admit, she keeps me and everyone else, for that matter, kind of on track. And now she also helps me personally engage because I'm more of an introvert. I don't really like going to events, but she gets me out there to go to the events and the talks and stuff. So it's good for me to have someone like Jen. Mishka, I've known you for a long fucking time, right? We have an interesting relationship because in some senses, he's literally the opposite of me, right? So he's an extrovert. He's a salesman. He's an idea guy. He's basically a less successful Moritz, but
which is a massive compliment. Right. Massive compliment,
I know,
by the way.
but successful. You're successful in your own right. Yeah. Like none of this shit would happen without him, right? He gets the sponsors, he gets the promotions, he puts on the events. He's out there like hustling, constantly. He is the man, right? But also he can be very, 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 very frustrating. Yes. I mean, if you've ever done a presentation on stage with him, it is like an absolute exercise in frustration because for me, I'm a fucking nervous wreck and I am like preparing. Him, he doesn't finish his slides till like an hour before the presentation and he's getting up there and fucking winging it. True. It's such bullshit, dude. It's such bullshit. All right. But anyway, that's my problem. Okay. Philip. Philip is like, a super intelligent child. he's got tons of smarts and lots of gusto, but very, very little wisdom. The only few years he's had on this earth, right? And his whole lens is based upon some econometrics bullshit, right? So like, this is how he looks at the world, right? But sometimes I really just don't have the heart to correct him because he just needs to learn and understand the world as it is, as opposed to what the econometric books say it is, Mr. Philip. But I actually really enjoy listening to Philip rant and talk about shit because he is a very, very smart man. Well, boy, I guess. But yes, that's it.
Gee, thanks. All right. I guess what I would say here is this kind of like there's another company in your building and you kind of see them in the hallways for lunch and you maybe have hung out with them. There's like a sense of camaraderie in this group. And I would say the thing that unites all of us that comes on here is a fierce sense of independence. In some sense, like we all do our own shit. Like we all have our own little consulting businesses and like we come together for TWIG. So I would say that's very interesting to work with because everyone has their own ideas of how things should work. And I think the most amazing part is that it does work, right? I don't think it should on paper, but it does. And sometimes we do collabs, which is fun. We have a chat channel, but it's a nice group. We always get together at GDC. We'll probably go to Eric's retirement club. What is it? The Olympic Club.
Yeah.
It just smells like 50-year-old dudes sweating. There's just a musk.
There's nothing better. Nothing better than that, Mr. Philip Black. Just
there's
you wait.
Towel service. It's something. So yeah, it's an interesting group.
Yeah.
I love hanging out at GDC. Yeah.
Exactly. I think Phil put it.
Fun.
That's my whole vision is like this Rebel Alliance. I always like that versus like the Empire versus Rebel Alliance, and kind of like everybody's independent and everybody has their own thing. There's no central control, which is clear by the way this is run. And it's interesting how this group has also evolved over time because of the original ones, like when talking about JK and Cress, like I knew both from real life from San Francisco. I knew Adam back from Berlin already. I knew Sufert, who was on this, back from Finland. Like him I knew the longest. And so as the group has evolved, there's more people like amazing people like Jen, like Phil. And I mean, Ethan, I knew him a little bit in real life, but you too, and Laura. So it's almost like a remote work And it's a little bit harder to do the deeper relationship because, as Phil said, it's like we're not in the same place. We're almost like working at different companies, but having lunch together every week. So it's like really friendly relationship. But yeah, it'd be something if everybody would be in the same city. That would be probably a very, very different type of a setup. But yeah, as I said, like whenever we meet up, it feels like pen pals or like long distance lovers are meeting. So it's fun.
Yeah, a lot of the good stuff is before or after we record. That's where, we get to, have some real talk, stuff we can't say on the podcast. So that's a lot of fun.
Talk a lot of shit about Mishka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay ahead of the competition with Sensor Tower, the trusted source for mobile marketing intelligence. Whether you're tracking trends, benchmarking performance, or scouting the next big hit, Sensor Tower delivers the data that drives strategy. Dominate the charts with Sensor Tower.
In today's hyper-competitive digital landscape, understanding your app's journey from discovery to download isn't just insightful, it's the difference between scaling and stagnating. Enter AppsFlyer, the undisputed leader in mobile attribution and marketing analytics. They've mastered the science of making every ad dollar work harder by revealing exactly where your players come from and how they interact with your app. Their platform transforms mountains of complex data into clear, actionable intelligence that separates winning campaigns from budget-draining experiments. And I know that many of the top game companies leverage AppsFlyer and are a key partner in their success. AppsFlyer, where your app's potential meets performance. All right, so which running bit needs to die? So for me, selfishly, it's the incessant shitting on transmedia and marketing. Just like, please God, let that die. Chris, what about you?
The shilling stuff drives me insane, right? I know it's the way of the world, but for me, I can't do it. I can't stand it. But that's what keeps the world running.
I would say anything that doesn't feel fun for us, because again, this is not a job. And I think the longevity of the show has largely been because we are doing what we like to do and what we want to do. And yeah, we do listen to the audience. We have questionnaires that we might send some days to guide us to a certain specific way. But just like Jen was giving me some feedback from another person, I said, my take on it was like feedback received, but in the end, like I'm doing the type of interviews, for example, that I like to do. Like I like to talk to founders. And if somebody doesn't like that, that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to change that as an example. But if there's one thing that I would like to change about the show, that would be about myself. And that's like limitation of my own sarcasm. Like I'm not nearly as sarcastic as Adam, but I say it out loud, which is the problem. and so I was kind of like thinking about this today because we had this question open here. And I was like, I'll put it on my Eastern European upbringing because there's a difference between the cultures, like the American culture and the Eastern European culture. And I put in this on ChatGPT and I was like, what are the differences? And apparently in Eastern European cultures, like the support comes wrapped in silence, expectations, and corrections. And if something isn't criticized, it's assumed to be good enough. And praise is rare because it's considered dangerous, something that might soften you, slow you down, or make you complacent, and so forth. So maybe these cultural differences. So my promise for this year is I would definitely want to be much less sarcastic and much more American. And it doesn't matter how crazy the proposition for the company is. If there's 5 people launching a FIFA game, I will say, that could work. That sounds amazing. Like that's I really believe in that.
I'll be there for the next sentence saying this is the biggest bullshit I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Right? So don't worry about it.
But I think it's easy to be sarcastic, but it's also very easy to be super positive about everything and never say anything negative.
Are you talking about sarcastic or critical?
I think a lot of this is like my sarcastic humor. Like, yes, I'm critical sometimes, but oftentimes, like I will continue to be being critical or raising challenges in certain propositions or companies or products. But a lot of the times, like I just joke around about companies just in a sarcastic way, and it comes off wrong. Like I'm not laughing at them. I'm just being sarcastic. And then some people are listening like, oh, he's so mean. I was like, oh yeah, I get it how you would take it that way. And that's not my goal. Like, for example, with Supercell, I didn't know I was being mean. Apparently I was, but I think I was sarcastic about certain things. But anyways, it is what it is. So I'll try to do that less.
Okay. Phil, what do you got?
I want to be crystal clear. Do you know how much clarity I've seen, Eric? I don't think I've had this side project of a soundboard for a really long time, and the space bar is going to be crystal clear.
Do I really say that a lot?
Like, I've edited you guys once or twice, and when you edit someone, you can like figure out all their audio ticks, because I also do edit notes for the podcast. And so I have to listen intently. Whew, yikes. So, all of you have your ticks and safety. I do too, but that one's really funny.
Yeah, that is funny. Actually, the other one that I really did want to mention now that I think about it is I got to stop using the word fuck. It is out of control. One episode I tried like years ago to just not say it, and it wasn't actually that hard. I think I got it down to like 3 or 4, right? So I'm going to be better. I should be able to express myself without using the word F.
Can you use more creativity? Like kind of like a Gordon Ramsay, situation?
I don't know what that means, but I will take it under advisement.
The reason why we've been trying to dial back on the F word is that if you use too many F-bombs, it'll stymie the YouTube algorithm, and so we won't get reach. And so we've actually started to bleep. I think the last episode, Dom, who's our editor, started bleeping, and the whole episode when Crest talks is a bleep. So, yes.
I got complaints from listeners about that. They were like, "This ruins the whole episode."
Yeah. So yes, let's.
Wait, the bleeping or the F word?
Bleeping.
The bleeping.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, because it just interrupts your flow. Because
because I can't possibly process without using the word fuck.
And so, funny enough, it's like a certain C-suiter reached out, like, "What the fuck is going on with this? Like, stop bleeping."
All right.
And then we don't want to ask our editor to do a podcast version and a YouTube version. Well, maybe we do. Okay. Next question. Who would you most like to interview, and what is the one question you're dying to know? And let's assume that someone gave them truth serum and they had to answer you on this. So for me, it was really tough. I picked Sarah Bond, who's president at Xbox, or, our good friend Phil Spencer. How does Xbox Everywhere messaging work from a next-gen console maker? I just don't understand how they are trying to say you can play Xbox Everywhere, and we want to eventually sell you another console, but you can play it everywhere. I just don't get it. And I'm a fan. I'm a huge, huge fan of Xbox. I just want them to pick a lane. I want them to stop their console maker versus third-party publisher identity crisis. So my second one, I had to do an asking for a friend, is Gabe from, the Valve God, is what the fuck is with Half-Life 3? That's my other one.
I only have one that I could think of, really, because I think I know the answer of a lot of things that they would have to answer honestly, but maybe not. So I would ask Lars from Embracer did you ever really think that this acquisition strategy was actually going to work, right? And then the following question is, if you did believe, at what point did you realize that this is not working, right? I mean, I'm sure it was years before the collapse, right? But yeah, I mean, he must have known this was the House of Cards, and this was a total Ponzi scheme type thing. So anyway, that's what I would ask Mr. Lars, who is still fucking president of Embracer, which is crazy, right? It blows my mind. Okay.
Ano, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Mishka, who is the game lead at Supercell. He also was temporarily the lead on Squad Busters, if I remember correctly. He did a great GDC talk about Clash of Clans. He talked about consumables. This guy seems like a brilliant human being. I don't think he does any press. He appeared in one Squad Busters video. He's super into econ. He had a consulting startup called Virtual Economics. Seems like a really smart guy. Supercell PR. Let's make this happen. All I want to do is showcase this guy. I don't even really want to talk about Supercell. I don't want to get anything out of this other than to showcase him and be like, you guys have been trying to recruit, show off your employees, open them up to us. You got a lot of smart people underneath the hood. And plus, I will do it on site, and Rablo, you can poison me while I'm there.
You pretty much actually said my email. I said exactly those things. We can do that. We don't have to have Supercell. We know you're recruiting a lot of people, so let us represent you correctly. I didn't say that they can poison us, but, we'll take it.
The one other one I'll include here is Will Wright. Where is Will Wright? Where is Will Wright? He's doing a game right now. He has a startup. He's doing a simulation game. I just wish he would be a stronger voice in this industry. like I've been bubbling a piece about the game engineer founder that's like died out, and he was of this class. And I'd like to ask him about where is the crop of engineer AI founders is something that's really bothered me right now. Like we should be seeing them. Those were the original game designers. They were engineers. And we're not seeing it in AI, and that really bothers me. So I'd like to ask him about that. And yeah, I would say those two jump to the top of the list.
Cool. Mishka?
Okay, so first, Strauss Zelnick. So this has been on my list forever, and I've told everybody about this. I've told it at Zynga, at Rolex. They're like, "Yeah, we'll make it happen." So I want to interview him because he seems to be like this super executive. Like if you would put in a super executive out of US, like that would be Strauss Zelnick. How he looks, how he operates, the size of the company, the size of bets, everything that he does.
Size of his abs.
Like, yeah, abs. Like he's like a Superman, but a super executive. So I'd like to
hold on.
understand.
Do you want to get professional advice, or do you want to get like exercise advice? You know, like
both. We'll take both. So I definitely want to work out with him. I've also stated this interest to Zynga and other people at Take-Two. But yeah, I would love to have a podcast just to meet a person like this and understand their life and like how do they operate. I would love to know what is a day in life with Strauss Zelnick. Like I'm just fascinated. Second of these sort of super executives, maybe on a founder route, would be Adam Ferrucci. You say Ferrucci or Ferrucci? CEO of AppLovin.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, just company building and like from the outside feels like he has a chip on his shoulder and like how he just operates.
Fucking gangster, like, dude.
Super aggressive. Yeah, super aggressive. I love it. And you know, the little things that I've heard about him and so forth just makes it a very interesting conversation. And again, I would put this person, like maybe these two, even though they're public company CEOs, I feel like they are open at speaking. So they would say their mind without fear and so forth. So they don't need maybe the whole PR team around them. Gabe Newell, naturally, founder of Valve. My main thing to understand is what comes first, culture or product? Because they have the famous culture book and they've made amazing products. And I would just like to understand how that came to be. Ricardo Zacconi, founder of King. He is the most positive person I've met in my life. And so I'd like to understand where that positive comes from. And, you know, again, these are podcasts, just share that information with others. He makes the whole room happy around him. At least that's my experience. And then finally, Bookman Brothers, the founders of Playrix. Yeah, and this one, I would do the challenge. I would do only the Russian version. I would do like the Lex Friedman version where 11 Labs does the different outs, because that would be not only super interesting. I mean, it's a bootstrap multi-billion-dollar company. Just understanding where they came from and the steps and the journey of those brothers through their company. And also it's a challenge. Like I'm very good in Russian, but I'm not native speaker. So it's an interesting challenge to take on. So those would be my top 5 in no particular order.
Yeah. I thought of one when you were talking about Strauss is Bernard Kim, BK, who did if you remember, he was like a executive at EA and then went to Zynga and then did Match. And then left Match and is now...
He got fired at Match, just to be clear.
Well,
CEOs get fired. That's a normal ending of a public company CEO. It's a gig for most.
He had no business being a CEO of a publicly traded company, just to be clear.
Well, I would not start the interview that way, but...
Well, I would be interested in his journey.
Exactly.
am like really interested in that journey and the learnings from that. And I knew him a little bit when I was at EA. And there's never been an executive who has played more games than mobile games than that guy.
Yeah, don't get me started. This is the good one for the new year. We'll couch this until then.
Okay, got it. All right, so let's do a little bit of the personal corner. Well, if we can. What was your biggest miss? So for me, my big mouth can get me into a lot of trouble, and I think the difficult thing, especially being a woman in the industry, is we aren't often allowed to sometimes voice all of our honest and direct feedback. I have to be super careful when I do that because people have told me I'm mean and rude if I give super direct feedback. So I have to be really careful. But being independent and being a consultant now for almost 3 years after being at all the big companies has, in a sense, turned a negative into a positive for me, because when you're a consultant, people call you up because they want your honest and direct feedback. But when you're inside of a company, especially as a woman, they tend to want you to toe the company line and just do what you're told. There's been a couple of times, and Chris and I relate a lot on this, where sometimes I open my big mouth to clients about something. I'm a little bit harder than I probably should be. I can't give too many specifics, but
yeah,
that happened to me with some big clients this year.
Yeah, actually, that's one of my big ones, actually. But the first one is that even though I was right about Switch 2 being really strong this year, the holiday sales have been really bad for Switch 2. And a lot of it is probably the fact that it's been front loaded, but I expected it to be really strong because there's nothing else to buy over holiday. And I think I was just wrong, right, about that. So that was a big miss this year because, Nintendo's stock has gotten crushed since the holidays. So we still have December, but it just doesn't look like, based on checks, it's not going to happen. But my biggest miss was the same idea as what Jen is saying. And I will be more specific now that Amazon shut down. But I did a presentation to Amazon about what products I think they should make based upon market data and information like this. And so I spent, I swear, like 5-10 minutes, like shitting on MOBAs and shitting on racing games. And what I didn't know is that Amazon was working on a MOBA and a racing game, right? So I can say all I want that I don't care about what other people think and I want to be independent, but like sometimes a little diligence and a little grace may be required because it was a bad look. So I apologize to those Amazon execs and my friend who got me in there. So anyway, yes, that was probably my biggest mistake of the year. I actually didn't pay. No one paid, but now Amazon shut down. So anyway, there we go.
Maybe they should have listened.
Well, it was a little bit too late by then.
Too late, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Phil.
When I work with founders, they're the people who would always request the most direct, precise feedback on any part of their business. I'm surprised that you're holding back. I think they pay me not to hold back. They pay me just to like, look, and I'm gonna tell you what's up when I'm.
Well, when you're
around.
talking about like small company founders, sure, but when you're talking about big company, like that's entrenched in what they're doing, and execs are at the higher level telling them what they should be doing, like which is the situation Amazon. You don't have agency at that point, really.
Chris and I both still work with a lot of the bigger companies, and you still have to play the political Game of Thrones a little bit, even as a consultant. You can give the information and be honest and direct, but the way that you massage and deliver the information still has to have a little bit of Jedi mind tricking to it.
Fair enough. I would say on my side, since this is under the personal category rather than the market category, I would say I just underestimated the work involved in moving businesses, moving countries is enormous. I didn't budget it as a contract itself. And that's ultimately when you're a consultant, your time is currency. I didn't want to put it in the P&L because then it goes down in the L, not the P. And that feels like another L. Like that's the thing. If you don't work, you don't eat here in this land. So like it's hard to take the hit for that. I will say this, like seeking out help is something that I've been doing more and more, especially with the power of paying people, using the power of incentives. Like if I've known someone who's done something, I'll be like, can I just buy like an hour or two of your time? And they sometimes will refuse payment, and you should try to pay them because then it creates an obligation. But like getting expert help can speed things up. Experience does matter. Mm-hmm. Wisdom does matter.
There we go, Philip.
I mean,
wow.
I've never
He's
been
already
against
learning.
That. Now, we have another word for wisdom. It's called empirical evidence. You might want to get friendly with it, but that is useful. Mr. Beast, earlier in the year, I don't know if you caught this, but he did a memo basically talking about this. I would suggest people reread that. It's a beautiful memo on like him begging people to use consultants to basically avoid problems. It's almost always worth it just for an hour or two of time. Just get that tip of knowledge. So I think I'm trying to do even more of that this year, even just for an hour or two for various things.
Yeah, I +1 that. That's a good one, Phil.
Yeah, I remember we were sharing that one. I want to kind of talk about a little bit the points, Chris and Jen, you made, because you were saying that some of the people get upset of what is being said or how it's being said. Like that's absolutely correct. But that's kind of like the theme of the show is a lot of people would get upset of what we say. And the interesting part about that is that what we say is pretty much what everybody's already talking about on the water coolers. Like we're not coming up with a narrative. We're not some like an anti-PR team against the company. And we come up with this like investigative journalism about like a Kotaku style. Like, no, we're just saying the things that everybody's already saying about your company. and kind of the company is getting pissed at us for saying it out loud that everybody's already saying is the weirdest thing. But anyway, going back to this question, I think the biggest challenge is similar than with Phil, is taking on too much, both on the work side and the personal life side. I also relocated, but I also have kids and family and everything. So that's schools and so forth. So it's like 2x probably of what it takes, or no, 3x. Let me put it 3x. I've relocated without family, so that's way easier, but still hard. And then again, having like too many clients, which I think kind of led to this quality suffering that I felt personally, just too much work. And when there's too much work, also these sort of like a long-term goals evaporated under that day-to-day of kind of like chasing, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this for a client, and you're not having enough time even to service everybody that you're working with. So it's overall kind of created maybe the toughest year emotionally, because like at the end of the year, yes, the sort of a revenue number is quite positive, but if you account everything else, I would put it on negative. So kind of like the next year's, I'm going to take it much more slower and focus much more on doing good work and less clients.
Interesting. So you think this year was one of your hardest emotional years that you've had ever, or just a long time?
No, of course not ever. Like there's been others, but like, yeah, in a while, I would say so. Maybe it's part of like turning 40. So that's, I know I look super young.
Ouch.
And I speak like a 16-year-old.
Jesus Christ.
But I would say just like not getting progress.
Got it.
Game devs. Here at Heroic Labs, we know that great gameplay is what players love, but integrating metagame features like challenges, progression, and rewards is crucial for retention and monetization. But coding them is a tedious and time-consuming process. That's why top studios have turned to Hero from Heroic Labs. Hero provides a complete suite of battle-tested metagame features that are quick to implement, letting you spend more time on the core gameplay experience. Ready to ship fully featured, engaging games? Check out Hero today at heroiclabs.com.
In today's hyper-competitive digital landscape, understanding your app's journey from discovery to download isn't just insightful, it's the difference between scaling and stagnating. Enter AppsFlyer, the undisputed leader in mobile attribution and marketing analytics. They've mastered the science of making every ad dollar work harder by revealing exactly where your players come from and how they interact with your app. Their platform transforms mountains of complex data into clear, actionable intelligence that separates winning campaigns from budget-draining experiments. And I know that many of the top game companies leverage AppsFlyer and are a key partner in their success. AppsFlyer, where your app's potential meets performance.
Hey, are you building a game, launching an app, or considering an acquisition? Well, in that case, Deconstructor Fund Consulting is here to help you out. We do everything from market research to go-to-market strategies to live ops optimization and due diligence. We're trusted by some of the most beloved game development companies, makers of tools and tech, as well as some of the most renowned investors. Now, if you are building, launching, or buying, don't do it alone. Do it with us. Connect by emailing to consulting@deconstructorofun.com.
All right, so we're going to go to our biggest win. I have a work one, which was Neil Long from mobilegamer.biz. Nicest guy. I don't know if anyone's had a chance to meet him, but he rang me and we did this off the record event in LA in June, and we kind of pulled it together in like 2 or 3 weeks. We had like 130 people show up around LA, and it was at the Google Venice office. We had great sponsors, a great response, and it was just, Crest came down for that one. It was just a really fulfilling, fun, like if we could do more industry events like that, that's what I really enjoy doing, because I love the people side of our industry, how like awesome people are, how sharing and giving people are with what's going on. So I looking forward to doing more of that. So thanks to Neil for that kind of win. And then on the personal side, I'll save it for the next one, but I think I had some things that made me a better wife, a better friend, a better manager. I'll wait for the next one to dive into that one. But Cress, what did you have?
There was nothing even came close, really. Getting Natalie into college was just such a huge existential moment. Like for me, kids flying the coop type thing, empty nest type stuff. It just was, there's so much work and effort going into getting a kid to that level to get her going. So that, it was just a huge, huge moment. And it just created like this existential thing for me personally. So anyway, that was by far my biggest win this year.
It's been very...
Did you get a sports car to celebrate?
Oh,
your existential crisis?
No, I did finally buy a Porsche again. So I bought a Porsche in January. Yes, that too. That was a big win for Mr. Kress, was I got my Porsche, but back after years. You may know me well enough to know is that I am thinking about the future. I don't give a shit about the past. I don't even really think about the present. All I do is think about the future. I've been planning on buying this Porsche in January for like 3 years. So it's like, it was something that I had thought about. And then I bought my son a car. So anyway, yes, my Porsche is very fun.
Yes, it was fun being involved in the process of like, ooh, this one or this one or this one. I felt like I was like car shopping by association. Phil, what do you have?
Bill Belichick is the greatest game PM anyone has ever known, and like always listen to Bill Belichick's advice. And he always would say, build for the team you have, not the team you want. And I would say I've also felt that in consulting. Like there's so much shit to do and I wanted shit done, but some of the people I work with, I'm like, okay, what are you good at though? Or what do you want to do and what are you good at? Kind of finding the Venn diagram, I think is a huge win to unlocking people. It's just like get good people in who are diligent and then build to their strengths. Is something I've learned to do. Like my executive assistant actually helped basically do almost all of my moving for me. Like she was there on moving day. And so she's good at some things. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I apply this to other people I work with too? Like, hey, what do you want to do and what are you good at? I think is key. Bill Belichick, always right.
Tell people who Bill Belichick is because
please, do we have to explain this to people?
Yes.
The Europeans.
Yes.
No,
yes,
we don't. We don't need to explain.
His echo reverberates. I don't know how I could explain it.
Former
what's
coach.
the equivalent? Mishka, what's the equivalent?
Sir Alex Ferguson.
If he was twice as successful.
Oh, come on. Sir Alex Ferguson, for sure. That would be like a legendary coach in football. Yeah, I kind of echo what Phil said, like work-wise, getting other people to work with you. I had a friend of mine actually joined. I was able to talk him to join me consulting and work together at way back in the days at Zynga. He joined and I was like the proudest thing, honestly, business-wise this year was that in 1 year, he was like earning it as, I would say like a European VP level. So not American VP level, but European VP level, which means like it's sustainable. And so I was so happy and so proud about that to work with a friend on these cases. He's been absolutely phenomenal. So just what Phil said, like bringing the right people along and again, low input, crazy high output. And on personal is again, like personal wise, the biggest win has definitely been taking our daughter. So our eldest, she was bullied at school for like a couple of years. And we came here to Greece and she's found like all new friends and she loves going to school where previously she dreaded going to school because as you know, some of you that nobody bullies as hard as girls. So
yes,
that sort of like emotional bullying is like next level viciousness and it's totally over and she's like really happy. So that's, I think like the biggest achievement. And the second one is like working with a friend now.
Oh, that's so great to hear. Oh, that's good. That's awesome. I also echo, Phil, I've got junior folks working with me now and seeing them grow and be better is like, I'm the proudest Yoda. It's kind of nice to like not, in a sense, yes, the work is important, but also seeing the growth of other people is a really big kind of win. I should have mentioned that a bit more. So what had the biggest impact on you? So for me, God, I hope I don't cry. Like I had a medical thing. So I had to have somebody drill into my skull and fix a hole in the bottom of my skull and power wash the inside of my brain out. That was like just so hard to grasp that going into that. And it was like a month waiting for that whole process to happen. I had felt really bad for like 2 years leading up to it. I was misdiagnosed. And I think the hardest thing was watching my wife go through it. Oh my God, she took it so hard because, sadly, I am over 50. Hopefully I don't look like it, but we're getting to the age where medical stuff is like, I had a college reunion and the first 30 minutes was all of us talking about our medical shit. And I'm like, when did I become that person where like our gossip is about medical stuff? So I still have specialists that I have to see, unfortunately. I got one coming up in February because it didn't quite fix all of the problems. But, my advice to everyone is, think about how this impacts your family and your friends and your coworkers. And, it's not just you. And so I think that just like shook my world a little bit. It still does, actually, to be honest with you. And yeah, so that was my big one.
I'll tell you, the image of your brain and the leak in your brain is like etched in my brain right now. Like I can't unsee that. That was it was really insane to look at.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they fixed everything. For me, I mean, it's again, the empty nest thing. It was really like, even my son is starting to pull away, right? Because he's getting older and he's got a car. He doesn't need me anymore. He doesn't want to hang out anymore, that type of thing. So it got me really kind of thinking again about what I was doing. And I read these 2 books that I would recommend if you are in that process is Die with Zero and The Wealth Ladder. Die with Zero in particular really just convinced me to think about what's next. So yeah, that's kind of the big thing for me from a personal, like the big impact, I guess.
I'm actually really worried about Phil. Phil, can you show me your T-shirt just so I know? Like,
what does it
okay,
say?
is it the Billionaire Boys Club? Okay,
oh
so
my God.
he's been in Cyprus for like a couple of months, and he's thinking about buying a Lotus. Was it Lotus or was it Porsche? He's hanging around with people with bad influence. I get Russian-speaking messages about Phil.
Hookers and blow.
Hookers and blow. He's wearing a Billionaires Boys Club T-shirt, which would not fly in Stockholm, Sweden. I'm worried.
No, fashion has been unlocked again, thank God.
Oh God.
All right, moving on.
More.
Okay, what did you learn? All right, so this section is called What Did You Learn? It's a little bit related to my medical stuff, but I didn't realize that it's a lot of pressure as the sick person to tell people how they can help me. I probably had, between LinkedIn and Slack and everything, just thousands of messages come in. How can I help? How can I help? And it's actually a lot of pressure to respond to everyone, to make them feel okay that, you're the one who's sick. I also suck at asking for help. I'm never the one to be like, oh, I could use a DoorDash gift card. I'm like, not going to tell you that. That's like so awkward for me. So what I learned, and I guess my advice to everyone is, instead of saying, if someone is sick, how can I help? Just do something for them that is most likely going to help them. So just send them a DoorDash gift card. Just be there for them. Ask them how they're doing. Don't just check in one time. Follow up with them. That was also really evident of like who were my friends. It's like somebody who just said something once, and the people that weeks later or months later would just be like, hey, how are you doing? Tell me about what's going on. That's just something that I learned that I think I need to change about what I do, is instead of just asking someone, how can I help, just doing something.
All right, now I'm going to go back to the business side of things. What I learned this year on the business side of the world, first of all, predictive markets are gambling, right? I definitely learned that.
Yes.
And they target children to bring them to the 7 levels of hell, right? So they are basically corrupting the youth. I learned that, and very specifically, and proven now in my mind. The bright spots in the gaming space, I found from a business perspective, well, first, obviously Steam and PCs is crushing it, particularly in China. Gambling apps like Prize Picks and Underdog and those type of things are doing extremely well. And this micro drama shit is really taking off too, which is a huge, companies like Dorian that are building platforms to do micro dramas. That is obviously huge. And obviously all the Chinese guys are just crushing it, both on mobile, but also on PC console. So that should so those are the things I kind of learned this year.
I've been working a lot in gambling, slots and sportsbook, like also sweeps, all of this stuff that's kind of like on the edges. And when I talk about it, I don't necessarily endorse it, by the way, on the podcast, nor do I endorse any specific policy. For me personally, it's just a new mountain to conquer, is like, how does this thing work? And when you start to think about slots and sportsbook, it's like the pure distillation of at least a version of gamification. And there's a whole idea of juicy, which is that there's almost no agency in these mechanics. And so like, how do you create something where the entertainment value is just watching your return to player be less than 1? Because that is what entertainment is in many cases. It's just you just consuming something you paid a fixed price up front for. It's just delivered in a different way.
Wow, Philip. Wow.
So yeah. Also, it's also why it's not gambling. Traditional gaming stuff is not gambling. It really comes down to the gambler's fallacy. This is something that you've missed in all of your analysis, Eric, is that you can never be trapped in the gambler's fallacy if there's a non-tradable market that can't be exported to like real money. I think that's been an important differentiation.
Okay,
I think that's
we actually
never
really did have this debate, but the reality of it is if it's recreating the same dopamine response, then it is the same thing.
No,
regardless of the mechanics of it. This is not some econ book, dude. This is like real life, real people that are playing games and feeling these feelings.
I'm making an observable prediction about the strength of the relationship based on whether or not gambler's fallacy is the variable in play.
1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. Oh.
It's not 1-0. Not 0. I'd be happy to put this up to research.
What do you mean by the gambler's fallacy?
So the gambler's fallacy is that basically you can gain back your losses, right? Because you can take money out of the system, and sometimes people double down. But you got to remember, like, casinos always have less than one return to player. That's like literally how they function, right? You are going to be losing money on average. And I think that ability to gain your money back is what drives a lot of the bad behavior we see in sportsbook and casino, is people doubling down their losses.
All right, moving on. I'm not going down this road, dude.
This is that's as long as one. All right, Mishka.
Onto some other learning. So when you pick something up, you have to put something else down. And that's kind of a important sentence that I'm thinking about now that it's, January and you're making New Year's promises. And we always want to say all these things are going to change. I'm going to start doing this and I'm going to start doing that. But instead of like doing the same mistake I did last year of like, I'm going to do this, and that, I'm just going to say I'm going to do this. But if I want to do this, I actually have to drop something else. And that's been kind of a slow process of actually getting into what I want to do. And then leading to that, I read a book in December, kind of like trying to figure out my productivity challenges. And I read this book by Cal Newport. It's called Slow Productivity, The Lost Art of Accomplishment. Phil, don't read this. You grind. This is for people in later stages. So basically, like there's 5 elements out of this book, which is like, number 1 is limit the number of active projects you have. Number 2, this is what I'm doing. Number 2 is parking ideas in a backlog instead of keeping them warm. So this is a lot of things that have been happening as I'm like promising I get back to somebody, we'll record this podcast. Yeah, sure. And that kind of creates that sort of a background stress. Number 3 is building realistic timelines and putting in that extra time that allows you to iterate and improve in your thinking rather than like, we got to ship this today. It's like, I'm going to put it on Wednesday. I'm going to have more time. This doesn't, by the way, podcast TWIG is not part of this. So that still will be coming at last minute. Number 4 is like accepting that there are seasons. So there's the grind time, but there should be also the sort of a recovery time. And number 4 is spending and being proud to spend disproportionate amount of time on small outputs that matter for you. So if it's creating a thumbnail or doing a specific thing or writing a specific thing, even though like dollar value is not there, but if that really is important for you, then it's fine to spend that amount of time rather than thinking about what else you could be doing. So very good book for people who are not in the grind phase and are going to thinking about like how to be much more methodical and happy with your output.
I like that. Look at you. You can actually do this?
No, that's not me. That's Cal Newport. This is, again, not me. This is actually books have a lot of good information. So,
go figure.
So I read this. It makes a lot of sense, but it is hard to put in practice, just like any management book. Productivity books are the same. It's like, how do you make the choice between this and that? Because again, if you're a consultant, you don't want to put all of your eggs in one client. Like, I'm going to limit, I'm going to work only with one client. When if that client leaves, you lose like 100% of your revenue? That doesn't make any sense. So it's, again, just being methodical, but having this sort of a template in your background.
Got it. All right. So our last question is, what is your hope or dream for the next year as we enter 2026? So for me, on the personal side, I hope there's an end to my medical drama. I like being told that I'm special, but I really don't like being told I'm special by medical specialists. Apparently, I have rare problems, and I don't like hearing that. But you guys can tell me I'm special. That's fine. So the next thing for me is, Mishka, I'm super excited about our roundtables that we are going to be doing in the US and in Europe. I'm going to run the West Coast ones. And so Crest is going to come to a bunch of these. We have LA, San Francisco, Seattle, and Vancouver, probably June, July. So we pick the time of year where you actually want to go to these cities. So I'm excited about these kinds of events after, the trial run that I had with Neil. doing these here. So you're doing them in Europe, right? You've got cool cities.
Barcelona, London, Limassol, Tel Aviv.
What I love is just getting the community of game folks together and being able to talk. I mean, we all work from home, right? Like, it's just nice to see humans in real life. All right, Phil, what do you have?
I'm working in sports this year. I've got some sports clients, like not necessarily sports book, but like sports games. So I'm going to be spending a lot more time with sports. Already have. You're going to be hearing a lot about what's wrong with sports. HD, mobile, just the whole thing.
All right. Football or like
all the things.
All the things.
All the things.
Okay.
All the things, multiple fronts.
All right. Interesting. Mishka, what do you have?
Number one is, of course, that Crest doesn't retire from media. So that's the most important part. But he already said that in the beginning. So that's, I bought this whole like a course on how to set up a studio for podcasting like at home. So I need to send those kind of footnotes to Chris so we can get him like a better setup, not the bike on the background, but the correct lighting and everything. So that's one. And then the second thing is, of course, what I said before, doing less, but doing it better. And the high goal, the something that I need to get back to is like thinking about strategically, and that is executing against this Rebel Alliance dream of mine. So I've taken already first steps. Much respect to few people who are helping out with that, few of the executives who are lending their strategic thinking. So that's been quite interesting.
Chris?
Well, my hope is I get down to 15% body fat, like Mr. Nishka. I'm back on that again, dude.
Supplements, baby. Supplements.
No, I'm not doing tea. I'm not doing double T or what the fuck you're doing, dude, or any like
Vitamin
GLP
T.
shit. I want to do like get down to 15% body fat the real way. I have a plan. I need to execute. I'm getting it done, right? This is my plan for this year. This is my goal as age 55 years old. So also, like, I need to travel more. I need to get out of here a little bit. I will do more events, as much as it makes sense. And then also I want to visit friends that I've kind of been neglecting for all these years with kids. So my friends in Florida and London and stuff. So I'll be traveling a little bit more this year.
Awesome. All right, everyone. That is a wrap on 2025. Thanks to all of our listeners. We love you guys. Hopefully that answered some of your burning questions. Happy New Year. And we will have the Golden Twig winners next time. What's interesting about Golden Twig, we were just looking at some of the numbers. There, in many cases, aren't clear winners.
No, it's really close.
It was really, really close on a ton of these. I guess it just shows you how much happened in the game industry this year. All right, everyone. See you next week.
Go Enzoy.
You did it. You made it to the end of the episode. As a fan of the show, it would help us out if you'd subscribe and leave us a review on the podcast service of your choice. Those stars and likes, while a small action on your part, mean a lot to us and help to grow the show. More importantly, are you a member of the Deconstructor of Fun Slack group? If you have 5 years or more of games industry experience, go to deconstructoroffun.com/Slack and apply to join. Join the games industry best professional community filled with peers always willing to lend a hand, or subscribe to our newsletter to get all the latest insights from the Deconstructor of Fun content creators. Thanks for listening.